Yeah, I was about to ask that. Good.
Okay, so hi everyone. So today I'd like to talk about scale up your Android UI test. So today I will talk about how we can parallelize our UI test in case our app is growing or our test automation suite is growing and we need to reduce the running time. So we have different tools and the mechanisms, but today I am focusing on one thing related to Espresso as a test automation framework and also one of the cloud testing tool, which is Firebase Test Lab. So my name is Mu'taz Nabil. I'm working as a developer advocate with Bitrise. It's almost from 1 year and 3 months ago. So I joined Bitrise. Previously, I was working, or I started my career as a .NET developer. Then I switched to be a quality engineer and test automation engineer as well. And I worked with different business domains and built a different like test frameworks. And now I'm focusing on a mobile DevOps and trying to helping mobile developers and QA engineers as well to accelerate the UI testing or the build times to be able to like ship applications or mobile apps frequently and easily as well. So this is like a little bit information about me. So in case you wanted to connect to me or have any questions, so this is my Twitter account, GitHub, and LinkedIn. And actually, our goal today, we need to accelerate app releases. So if you are working with a mobile company or your company has a mobile application, you know that releasing application or mobile application is like a big challenge, especially if you are submitting the application to the app stores and you need to wait till to be the app to be reviewed from the app store from Apple or Google. And during the cycle of the DevOps or a CI/CD pipeline, you have a different challenges. So the main challenge that we have, we need to reduce any testing bottlenecks. We need as much as we can. So because we need to accelerate app releases, because as we know, if we are relying on mobile testing or manual testing in mobile, this will take long time for at least for like 1 week or 2 weeks to be able to finish the testing life cycle, especially if we are testing on different devices with different OS version as well, because as we know, it's not like a web application or API. You should test your application against different mobile devices, especially from different manufacturers as well, with different OS as with different versions as well. So this is our goal today. So because that, let's get started. So we have different problems. So for example, testing solutions nowadays, for example, if you are working with a business is scaling now or growing, for example, every sprint you are adding a new feature, or maybe every 1 month or 2 months. And once you add new feature, we should add also at least like 1 or 2 or 3 5 test cases or 5 test cases at least for these features to be able to like make sure that this is at least to make sure that this feature is working at least. But if you wanted to cover more, so your test suite will be increasing, and at the end you will find that you wanted to run like a lot of test cases, for example, on every pull request to make sure that the application is not, or any change is not breaking the application, or the builder is building or the app is building correctly, and there is no any bottleneck or any like blocker in the application. So this is the problem. So the application now become more scalable, and we are moving it to test automation, or mainly we are using test automation. But still, if we are using test automation, still we have a problem, because if we are scaling, so we will face a problem that we are usually running the test cases sequentially. So this will take, or like will be a time consuming from our team. And also the other problem is local emulators and simulators are slow to start. If, for example, if you are using simulators or emulators on your CI server, and also if it's like a dedicated or like in-house CI server, this will be a problem, because sometimes it's based on the device or the machine itself, and maybe it's kind of spinning up or can't spinning up more than one emulator, because that you should always run on one emulator, because that you will always run all the test cases in sequential mode. So we have a problem with emulators, sometimes are slow to start. So we need to figure out how we can tackle these challenges. And also we need to find a way how we can trying to reduce, or how we can reduce the running of the test cases in parallel, or somehow we can find a solution. Because that on mobile test automation at a scale, this is our challenge. So once our application starts scaling, we are start increasing, growing in the business. So this will be a problem. Because as I mentioned also, we have, or we should always test our application or our functionalities on different devices and with different OS versions as well, because that it's a mobile app. So we don't, or we need to test at least on like different OS version from Android from Android OS with different devices as well, because sometimes test cases are behaving different on different devices. For example, I have a Pixel 3, for example, and maybe someone has a Samsung, so maybe the application is behaving different on the other device type. So we need always to think about how we can run on different devices with different OS version as well. And always the question that we have, or the challenge, shall we run on simulators or physical devices? So from my perspective, I think if we are in initial stages of the development, emulators and simulators can be used to test like a feature quickly. But if you wanted to deliver the feature to the customers, so we need at least to test on one real device with different versions to be able to know what the behavior of the application on these devices. So it's always based on the like a setup, the decision between the team, the budget as well, because if you are working with a cloud vendor like Firebase SLab or Browser Stack or Sauce Lab, it's always like the prices is always different from a virtual device or from emulator and simulator and the physical device as well. And without testing in real user conditions, so the app, so testing always unlike emulators or simulators will not give you the accurate result about your functionality inside your application. So these are mostly the challenges that we have. And maybe if we decided to test on the physical device, so this will be the cases. So for example, because on simulators or emulators, we can't test the low battery, we can't test the app performance during incoming interruption calls because we don't have like SIM card, or we can't test the SMS, overheating, conflict with other pre-installed apps, geolocation, multiple networks like Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, 5G, and so on. So it always depends on our decision which test cases we need to make sure that it's running on a real device or physical devices, which test cases that we usually we need to make sure that the application or the functionalities in our applications are running correctly or as expected. So the decision always will be between emulators, simulators, and real devices. So in few cases we can use physical device, and in other cases we can use emulators and simulators. To make things easier, there are different cloud providers such as Firebase SLab. This is because as I told you at the beginning, we have different options, we have different or alternate solutions. But today I'd like to focus on one solution, because with Firebase SLab we have a wrapper, or we have like a library or tool. We can use it for parallelize our UI test with Firebase SLab, and actually it's only for this cloud testing tool, because that I'd like to talk about this one today. So what is a Firebase SLab? So Firebase SLab is a cloud-based app testing infrastructure. It's from Google, and it's under the Firebase family. So Firebase is like a different cloud services from Google, and with Firebase SLab is give you the ability to run or to test your application on different devices with different configurations. It's give you the ability to run on physical device, virtual device, with for Android, and actually it's still for now it's only supporting the physical device or real device for iOS only. So there is no any simulators for iOS till now on Firebase, but for iOS for Android they are supporting both. Run tests on a wide range of virtual and real Android devices, as I told you, hosted by TestLab. And integrated with a Firebase. So we have different ways to run our tests. We have a Firebase console. We can upload our application, our APK, and test APK on Firebase, and we can start testing it from the console. We can test it from the Android Studio, and we can test it using a GC Cloud as well. So we have a command line with a GC Cloud or Google Cloud CLI. We have Android Studio, and we have a Firebase console as well. And you can also use it with a continuous integration system. And this is the important point, because we need to integrate our cloud device with our CI server to be able to run our UI test on every pull request on nightly build. So we have a different options in this case. So testing in Firebase or even with any other like testing tool, this is the sequential, or this is the logic. So for example, if we have a 5 test cases, this is our test suite. Let's say we have a 5 test cases. And if we aiming to running these test cases or this test suite on one Android emulator or real device, so the test will run sequentially. So the test will run like test case by test case. And for example, let's say if each test case take almost 5 minutes, so you will need like 25 minutes on one device to be able to finish this test suite. So this is mainly the normal run on Firebase Test Lab. And even if you are running on local devices or in any other cloud device, this is the case. So if you are using like Espresso and you want to run this test suite, you will send the test APK, and then the test APK will run on one device and run test by test, and then you will get the result at the end. So for example, let's say we have a CI workflow. So let's say in our case, it's Bitrise, and you wanted to implement or running a UI test on cloud with Firebase Test Lab. So once you push or change anything in the code or create a BR or pull request, the webhook will trigger the CI build for you. Even if it's not Bitrise, any CI server will work with the same idea. So, and then the CI server will start building your application for testing. What the meaning for testing? At the end, you will have 2 applications or 2 APK. The application under test, which is the APK already, that the application that we are testing, and the test APK, which is our test suite or our test cases using Espresso is like converted or become an executable file with a test APK, and we are building both. Then we will send both to the Firebase Test Lab to be able to run the UI test. And in this case, we will run in sequential mode, as I mentioned in the previous slide. And then we will bring the artifacts, the test result and everything, or a video screenshot if we implemented it, to the test report or to UR server. And then you will detect what the result or what the test cases result in this case, and so on. So this is, for example, we have this workflow. For sure, we have like demo in the next slide, but this is almost the steps that we need. So we clone the code repository, we build the application, we installing any missing SDK in for the application. We start adding the UI test or build the application for UI test, and then we are sending the APKs to the Firebase Test Lab, and we will get the result to the CI server as well. But before we go to the test lab, let's like briefly talk about how we are doing it local on our local machine. So this is the same case on Firebase Test Lab or on Browser Stack or any other testing provider. So for example, let's say that I have here a calculator application, simple calculator application, and I have different categories or different test cases. So I just add a simple test cases. For example, this is using Espresso, and here I am like clicking on the buttons and everything, testing like a calculator and so on. So I have a smoke test, and I'm using annotation as well. For example, this is a medium test. This is a smoke test. And actually, this is like a good point for me, that like with Espresso you have. And the JUnit, Android JUnit runner, you have a different annotations. You can annotate your test cases, and also you can group your test cases by these annotations. For example, I wanted to run all the smoke tests, then you can passing the parameter to the Android JUnit runner to just collect or to run the smoke test. For example, in my demo today, I'm running all the regression test cases. So I will run all the test cases with this annotation. Also, you can run, for example, all the test cases with a small test annotation or medium or large annotation as well. So annotations here is something like very important. And actually you can also create a custom annotations in your case. For example, in my case, I created 3 annotations. This one is regression, and one for end-to-end test, and one for smoke, because I'm trying to assuming that this is the business application, and we are dividing our test scope. This will be a smoke test because that we will run this, for example, on every BR. These are the regression test cases. We will run them, for example, before releases. This is the whole test cases, or for example, the cases, maybe we can run a nightly build, because that with different annotations, you can just configure your test cases, and at the end, you can just passing this annotation to the Android runner, and it will pick up the specific group and start running them. So here, for example, if I wanted to run my test, so I just wanted to just for example, I can run Gradle like connected debug Android test. This command line will like build the APK, the test APK, and like install them on the device, because that I have here an emulator, and then it starts running the test on sequential mode. So let's build the application, and this is the same idea. The only difference between my local machine and the CI, that the CI, I have a step already for building the APK, which is assemble. So I have assemble debug and assemble debug Android test. And then with these assembles, I will have 2 APKs. The next step will taking these 2 APKs to send it to Firebase Test Lab, or to Browser Stack, or to Sauce Lab, to be able to run them on cloud devices. But now I'm running on my local machine, and because that I have 1 emulators. And as we know, if let's assume this is the CI server, and if you are spinning up or like opening 2 emulators at the same time, maybe this will affect the performance, and maybe this will drive us to like flakiness in our UI test. And because also, as we know, they are like consuming from the memory and from the disk space as well. So now we are running like building the application, we are running the test cases, and now we will run all of these test cases. But if I wanted to specify the annotation, I just wanted to add 1 parameter with a connected Android command with Gradle to run a specific annotations to my annotation to with my test case. So now I'm running the test, and also till this test to be finished. So here I will find the build, and inside the build I have the output, and inside the output I have 2 APKs. This is what I mentioned at the beginning. So this is the application itself. This is the application under test that we are testing. So now the application is like opening, and now we are running our test in sequential mode. And this is our challenge today, because this will be the same behavior with the Firebase Test Lab, with Sauce Lab, with any other, with Genymotion, with any other cloud vendor, because that we need to find a way to how we can parallelize or split or divide these test cases on different devices at the same time, to be able to reduce the testing time, and also to splitting them on different devices. So these 2 APKs that we will usually send it to Firebase Test Lab. So till this one to be finished, here we can find that in the terminal, or sorry, in the Android Studio, as I mentioned, we have, just let me move this, sorry, this one. Here we have in tools, we have a Firebase, and with Firebase, if you have account already with Firebase and Google Cloud, you can open this Firebase, and with Firebase, you can find here something called the Test Lab. And with Test Lab, you have 2 different things. Actually, with Firebase Test Lab, we have different types of testing. So here, let me just like open this one. So we have here Firebase Test Lab from Android Studio. We can run Firebase Test Lab from Android Studio. We can just create a specific runner and select the devices from Firebase, and this will take our APKs to Firebase and get the result to our local machine. There is another testing type with Firebase. It's called the RoboScript or RoboTest. RoboTest here is something like a monkey testing. So if you don't have UI testing, you don't write Espresso or anything, you can use this RoboTest. It's like a monkey testing. It's like taking only the APK. There is no any testing APK, as we agreed, because we don't have any test cases. Just taking the APK and then start like clicking and using different things with the application. and then it will give you the like the report and the test cases, what they are trying to do with the application, and then maybe it can give you a brief or idea about what the test cases that you are missed, or what the test cases or the like the path that you wanted to cover during the test. So this is one way. Also, this is one way to running the UI test. But for sure, you should have two things to be able to use a Firebase from here. You should have a Google Cloud account, and link this Google Cloud project as well with the account and connect with the project. And we should have a Firebase application as well. So this is all the things that related to Firebase. But in this case, we don't need to use it because we need to try it with the command line. Another way that we can run a Firebase, we have something like this one. So let me just So for example, if I copy this command line and go to here. So here, we mentioned at the beginning that we have three ways or three different commands to using Firebase. The first one that we can just open the Android Studio, select the Firebase and connecting with our Firebase project and the Google Cloud project, and we can run directly from Android Studio. The second way is you can use a GC Cloud command line, but here you should install the GC Cloud SDK and then log in and to authorize your account with Google Cloud, and then you can use this command line. GC Cloud Firebase test Android run, and if you wanted to use it with iOS, you can also just change it to Android and changes the parameters for this command. But just because today we are focused on Android, so here with the type, we selected instrumentation because this is the UI test, or this is the test that we usually using with Espresso. You can change it to Robo. As I mentioned, Robo is like a monkey test. And another parameter is taking the APK from this path and the testing APK and selecting the device model that you wanted to run on Firebase Test Lab with a specific version. If you want to change the local as well, you can change it from here. If you want to change the orientation as well, you can also like change from this. So once you can just hit this command line, this will take the APK and test APK and start sending them using the CLI to Firebase Test Lab. Now we are uploading, so we have a problem because we didn't find the application in this path. But just let me check this one. APK, Android APK, GC Cloud, not found or not accessible. Okay, just let me try to. Okay, let me just run Gradle assemble. We already have it, but let's
assemble. Yeah, assemble is needed, I guess.
Yeah. So assemble now, with this assemble, we are building the APK and assemble the bug Android tested. So just to have this APK, but
yeah. So when you run the connected test, it stores in the Android test folder. So assemble, now it will goes to that APK. So
yes. So now let's try. We now uploading the first APK. Oh, okay, as not accessible. Okay, yeah. But let me just, maybe there is something in the okay, but it's
try to modify the path.
Just let me copy the path. Okay. But it's the same idea for the app, but maybe this need to be okay. I don't have what's the problem. It was working before, but let me just APK outputs. Okay, maybe we forget that, but it was the same. Okay. Okay, so now we like taking both, we are uploading the APK and the test APK to Firebase Test Lab. Then Firebase Test Lab, we're creating a test matrix. So this is the name of the like the test runner and or like the run that we are doing on Firebase. Now we are running on one device because with our comment, here, if we go up, we have only one device. So we can mention different devices and we can run all the test cases in different devices at the same time. But in this case, this will not be like splitting the test cases. We will run all of them in parallel, but with different versions on different devices. For example, we can mention that we can run Pixel 2 with version 29, but we will run all the test cases on this device. So now testing is a start, and just with clicking on this command, so here you will find this is the matrix, this is our application, and we are now running on a virtual device with Pixel 3 with the API level 30, and our test cases are running now. So we will wait. So this is the test cases. So we will wait because actually with Firebase Test Lab, we can't access or we can't see what's happening now on Firebase Test Lab until it's finishing. So because now some test execution is still running until we finish. Until this test case to be finished, just I need to go to Google Cloud just to give you the idea how we can use a Firebase with Google Cloud. So at the beginning, we just need to have like we just need to have a Google Cloud account, and we should have a project as well. And then we can link this account to a Firebase account. So once we have this Firebase account, so if we like go up, we have already account, and we link this project to the Firebase project. And here we can find, we have a Firebase Test Lab under the release and the monitor, because they have already services for Crashlytics performance and app distribution. This is what we are running now. For example, to check what we can do with Firebase Test Lab until our test to be finished, we can just for example, run the test, and here we will find what the supported test cases, or sorry, test type that we have with Firebase. We have a robo test that we mentioned. It's something like monkey testing and instrumentation, which is what we are using now. Game loop, something like monkey, but for games. So it's like simulating that it's opening the game and start like playing with like clicking on different locations on the screen. It's supporting XUI test as well, and the early gray for iOS, and the game loop for iOS as well. Once, or if you don't know what type that you are that you wanted to try with Firebase Test Lab, here you can find all the descriptions. For example, in our case, we are using an instrumentation test, which is supporting Espresso, Rupetium, and UI Automator tool. But as I know, Rupetium now is from long time, they didn't like updated it, so it's something obsolete. And UI Automator tool also, it's like old testing tool. So mainly we are using Espresso, and the game loop and robo test. Also, you can click on this link to more to know more about what is robo test and how does it work, and everything related to the robo test. So once we select an instrumentation, this is actually what we did from the command line, and this is the third way from the console. As we mentioned, we have a Firebase console, we have a Google Cloud CLI, and the Android Studio. So here we can upload the APK and test APK with the same concept that we did. For example, here with Android, we can select the APK, and with test APK, we can just go to the APKs and select the Android test and select the test APK. And then we can just, once we uploaded them, we can continue. And here now we need to select the devices, because from the command line, we already selected that we need to run on Pixel 3 with version 30. So here I can, for example, customize that. I can filter it with the API level. For example, I wanted to run on 30 and 29, for example. With device type, I wanted to run on physical. Maybe you need to select, on virtual, maybe you can select a physical device as well. And also you can like filter with factor, with manufacturer, with a screen size. So you have here different choices. So once you just like filter with this version, so we have Pixel 2 and we have Pixel 3. So we can click on this one with version 30. And we can click on this one, and maybe we can change it to 29. And then we can confirm. And here we have two devices. We can open additional options, because actually these are the options that we will use with our parallelization, but this is a manual way. So then we will know how we can automate it. So this is the test timeout. We can use something called the use orchestrator, which is something introduced in Android X, and you can learn more about it from this link. Android X or Test Orchestrator, if we open it, because actually they are recommended it, it's including different things. Here you can find, you just need to add this in your Gradle properties. And also you can start reading more about Android X and the orchestrator. So for example, here in my application, I'm using it already. If I open the build Gradle file and go up, I will find in the test option, I'm using Android X Test Orchestrator, and also I am disabling the animations, which is also will try me to reduce the flakiness on the devices. So these are two important options for us if our application is supporting Android X. So in this case, I will say, yes, my application is supporting our use orchestrator. And this is the main idea about parallelization and splitting our test cases. It's sharding. So now it's told me what the number of shards that I wanted to run in parallel. Shard here is a device. So for example, if I am saying that I will run on 5 shards and I have 30 test cases, this means that on each device, I will run 6 test cases. So now we have 5 shards, and it will automatically, Firebase Lab will automatically split up my test suite from 30 test cases on 5 devices. Each test case will almost like 6 test cases. If I say, okay, it will be 4 or 3, it will also automatically divide it or splitting up my test cases on different devices. If you wanted to learn more about sharding, you can just click on this. And this is enable sharding, which is like divided up a set of tests into a subgroups or shards. And actually the important point here is running in separately in isolation. So if one test case is failed, this will not affect any other test case in the test suite. Every test case is running in isolated thread, something like this, and it's not affecting any other test cases. So because that shards, this is the main power of the Firebase Lab. Then I will click on start. This is 6 test cases, and then the Firebase Lab will start splitting up the test cases on different devices. So here on the devices, I will find that I am running on Pixel 3 with the API version 30, and with Pixel 2 with API version 29. And now I'm running all the test cases. So here I need to wait. So let's go back. Maybe this one is finished, what we ran from here. So we have almost run every test cases in our application. So we get the report as well here. All the test cases passed on this device, and in total we have 28 test cases. And also, if you wanted to more details about this test, you can jump directly from this URL, and you will find these test cases. So, for example, you can click on test cases, you can find them. Maybe it's give you idea there is something you need to to take a decision about it, or you need to figure out what is the problem. But if we click on the test cases, you will find here there is a log, there is a video if you wanted to check it, how much the test cases takes and everything. So for example, let's here you can find the test cases. Maybe you will find also the fatal exception, and also Android Test Orchestrator. So it told me that because I didn't mention the orchestrator as a parameter from the command line, it's give me a hint that you can use this orchestrator to prevent or to run the test on an isolation ways. And with test cases, you can find this result, you can find the log and the video for the whole test cases that you did in your application. And also it gives you the performance of the device. This is the CPU, the memory, the network usage, everything related to your test cases, or what was the performance when we were running our test cases. So this is mainly the test run that we did from the command line. So we tried the command line, we tried the manual one from the console, we tried, or we found it from the Firebase here. What we will need to be able to do it from the Firebase, we can just edit the configuration. And here you can click on plus, Android instrumentation test, selecting the module. I need to test the application. And in the target group, you can select the Firebase Test Lab, but this option will not be displayed if you didn't sign in with Firebase inside your Android Studio. And you should have as well account, as I mentioned, with Firebase and Google Glass. So here you can select, you can like choose the configuration. All of these devices are loaded from Firebase. So here you can select the modules, and also you can use a command line in this case. So now let's return to, until this one to be finished, now let's return to our, how we can use Firebase, the normal step with CI server like Bitrise. So for example, here, this is my application. So I have here a simple application, this is the calculator, and with a workflow, this is the design, how can I design the CI and the CD workflow. First one, SSH key to be able to access the repositories and then I clone the repository to my CI server, installing the missing Android component, run Android unit test if you want. If you don't want it, just you can remove it. Run Android lint if you want as well, if you don't need it. Okay, maybe this workflow can be only for UI test. And this is a step that I mentioned. So we have here a step, it's called Android build for UI testing. Why we are using this? Because at the end, it will give us two APKs or two environment variables. One is the APK itself, the path of the APK, and the SysAPK, APK, because this step is required to be able to use it with a virtual device testing. And this step is run Android test on virtual device. Actually, this step is the same idea what we did from the command line on GC Cloud CLI. This step is taking the APK, the test APK, and here we can select the test device. In my case, I selected, this is the table loaded already from the Firebase Test Lab. We have support, or we selected Pixel 3 with version 30 and with language and with the landscape as well. And with testing type, here we have also 3 types. We have instrumentation, robo, and the game loop, because that I selected an instrumentation test. And inside the instrumentation test, here I have the test APK, which is will take it from the environment variable from the previous step. If you wanted to pass anything, for example, in my case, I am passing only the package of regression. So for example, I want only to run with this workflow, the regression test cases, because that here I mentioned that I can select all the test cases. So here you can filter. This test target or this command line will go to your test APK, select what's the target that you wanted to run, and then start running. Maybe you can specifying a class. Maybe you can specifying annotation. For example, I can just add annotation and specifying it will be a regression annotation, smoke, end-to-end, and so on. Use orchestrator, yes, I need to use it because I already implemented it. If I wanted to configure something for robo or game loop or debug, I can do it. For example, here we can specifying the number of reattempt. Maybe if we have failure, maybe we can reattempt or run the test cases on the device again. Maybe if you wanted to pull a specific directory from the device, maybe we are creating something related to the logs or any test report, maybe we can pull it from the device, download files and everything that you want. And once you set up everything, you can just click on the application. You can trigger this workflow manually or with a CI server. So for example, I can click here and with the main branch, also you can specify any branch you want. And here I can just run the primary workflow and start the build. The build will start and there you can find the log. So I will start the building with the APK, test APK, sending them to the Firebase Test Lab. So now I'm activating the SSH key and now I will start. So get clone, caching pool, if we have any previous caching for the application, which will speed up our build step for the Android application. And here we are actually using a Linux machine. So here we have Ubuntu, and it's using Android and Docker. And if you are using or building iOS application, you can use, or we have already macOS machines and Xcode tools and everything related to this or to iOS. So now we are building for testing, and you will find that here we are. Let's just go again to the editor. Just I wanted to show you something in the configuration of the building step. Here, for Android build, you can specify which module you wanted to build, because that I selected app, I wanted to build all the application and the variant as well. So I mentioned the debug. For example, if we have different variants, you can specify which variant you wanted to build. Because that here in the build for UI test, if I expand it, I will find that it's running the same command line that I did in my local machine. So it's app assemble debug and assemble debug Android test. Build the application, build the everything. So here I will find that I have two environment variables, the APK and test APK. I don't want to change anything. The virtual device is starting now, taking the module, the API level, and start running on uploading the file using orchestrator and the package name, and now start validating and running on Firebase. The main idea about this step is taking our application and the test application and running on Firebase internally. So you don't need to configure anything related to Google Cloud or Firebase with this step. So if you wanted to use this step on your project, you can just edit, configure it, and just edit. It's not required anything related to Google Cloud and Firebase. The only thing that you wanted to have it a Google Cloud and Firebase account, you wanted to use specific devices, or you wanted to use different devices at the same time, because that it's a different like option and different configuration. And also this step is not supporting parallelization as well. And this is what we mentioned. We are running now all the test cases in sequential mode from the command line, like from the Android Studio, or uploading the application if we didn't select the shard configuration. But if you wanted to use multiple devices at the same time and splitting your test cases or divided test cases in different shards at the same time, this step will not help you, because that you can use our tooling today, or the tool that we will talk about it in the next slide. So until we finish, let's refresh this Firebase and check what we did previously. Calculator is already finished, so it's taking 9 minutes because we are running on different devices. So here, if we go to the devices, we can find that we have already different devices. Maybe we can click on the 29. Here we can find the shards. So as we mentioned we can have 3 shards or 4 shards. So the test or Firebase splitting up our test suite to 3 shards on each device. So for example, if I click on shard 1 and shard 2 and shard 3 and open them, I will find here, for example, I have here 7 test cases. I have here 10 test cases. I have here 11 test cases. So for example, because it's the number of test cases is not like mapped to like the devices. If we have 3 and if we have like maybe 28 test cases, so it divided test cases on different devices on different shards. For sure, you can increase the shard numbers, and this is the idea about shards. So it's a splitting the test cases. It's not parallelization or like not running all the test cases in parallel on different devices, because this is different parallelization concept. We have 2 concepts here. You can run all the test cases on different devices or different OS versions at the same time, but this is parallelization to make sure that your application is behaving correctly on different devices or different OS. But this case is parallelized to like a speeding up or scale up our test cases. We are splitting or divided our test cases on different devices at the same time to like reduce the running time. So now this one is still running, because that we will, but actually if we remember, we use this shards manually by like click on uploading test APK and uploading the APK, selecting the device type, add the number of shards and so on. But how can we use it with our CI server, or how can we use it with like an automated way? Shall we use a GC Cloud command line, or there is another tool? So until this one to be finished, let's redirect it to our slides and continue with the what the tool that will help us. So now we are currently running this scenario, and we already checked the demo. But what are the problems now, or what is the problem now? The problem that executing a large test suite, you can imagine if you have 100 test cases or 200 test cases, and you wanted to run all of them on every BR. So on one device, it will for sure take time, which will affect the build or the CI build time, and the developers will like like waiting until the build to be finished. So now, because the Firebase or any cloud testing tool runs the testing on sequentially mode or in sequential, so the execution best practice now that we should run on cloud devices, already we selected Firebase SLab, run automated tests in parallel or test charts, and including these tests in the CI/CD pipeline. This will help us to speed up the test automation or our running or the test run for the test automation. Because that we have a wrapper or a library called Flang. Flang is a parallel Android and iOS runner for Firebase SLab, because that I told you at the beginning, this library is only for Firebase SLab. It's taking the same concepts from Firebase console and implemented it in a JSON file format. With the JSON file, you can just configure what you wanted to run, how many number of shards that you wanted to run, which package or which annotation you wanted to run, where is the location of the test APK and APK, and then you can just use it with Firebase. It's an open source project. It was developed by Walmart Lab, and then I think now it's it's moving to like another organization for open source projects. So the main idea about Flang, as we tried today, we run GC Cloud Firebase SLab. And as we can see with Firebase or with GC Cloud, you should like passing all of these parameters to be able to run like on different devices or using test charts, or if you wanted to specify the test result directory, or if you wanted to like add the limit for time, OS version IDs, orientations, device IDs, anything. So this is usually the normal run or the normal command before Flang. So if you wanted to run on Firebase from the GC Cloud, you can use this one, but you just need to add all these parameters. For example, do you want to record the video? What is the result bucket where I wanted to add the test result and so on. But actually with Flang give you the ability to just configure YAML file with this configuration. Under GC Cloud, you have a GC Cloud section and you have Flang section. GC Cloud, this is related where the test cases will be added. For example, where is the result bucket? Because it will send, because that I mentioned, this is required to have a Google Cloud account and a Firebase account. Because with Google Cloud, you should here mention the Google bucket to be able to send the test cases or the test result to this Google bucket. The result directory, here, for example, I mentioned that inside this bucket, I will create one folder for each run. You can also specifying this folder with the BR name or the pull request name, because you will directly go to this folder and check the test result, and you will know that this result is related to this PR or this build and the CI. Record the video, yes, true. I wanted to record the video. Timeout, async or asynchronous, false. Where is the APK? You can take it from the environment variable from Bitrise or from your CI server. Where is the test APK? You can take it as well from the environment variable. Use orchestrator, true. Environment variable coverage. If you wanted to have a coverage report, where is the coverage will be saved inside the SD card on the device? Clear the package data before each test case, yes, because this will reduce the flakiness as well. And actually, when we are running with orchestrator, they are already running on isolation run, which is not related to each other. Performance metrics, false. We don't need a performance, and test the target. So here you can like add the annotation or package or anything, or class, a specific class, for example, and device model, the model and the version as well. And this configuration is related, this configuration is related to Flang. What the max test shards? For example, here I mentioned that I wanted to run on 4 shards. In this case, it will take the test suite, splitting them on 4 devices, and start running them. The num test runs, I wanted to run them only 1 time. If I wanted to run them twice or like 3 times, I can just specify the number here. Shard time, I can add the timeout for the shard. For example, not exceeding 30 minutes. If it exceeds 30 minutes, so you can like close or time out this run. And here we have a Smart Flang GCS. Smart Flang is something especially for a Flang. For example, if we are running the same test cases every time and there is no any change in these test cases, this will, like something like caching the test cases, it will take directly the test cases from the cache and to trying to reduce the time for the run. And also test target always run, which is, this is an annotation that we need to run always at the same time. So this is Flank. So now with Flank, we will like rearrange the test run now. So we have the same 5 test cases, but with Flank, we can now split. So if each one take 5 minutes, now we can reduce the test execution to be 15 from 25, because we are running at the same time. So it's like roughly, so it's not like the exact time, but I mean, the idea at the end, you will like reduce the testing time and you are running on different devices at the same time. How does it work? As I told you, you should have a Google Cloud project and account, create a Firebase account, add your project to Firebase, create a service account to get access over the API, which is service account, just so you create a JSON file and you download the JSON file and upload it to your CI server to be able to access the GC Cloud project and the Firebase project from the service account. And download this JSON file, add it in environment variable, in secrets environment variable with Bitrise, for example, we are calling it a generic file storage, which will be a secrets, will not be exposed in the build log. And enable 2 APIs with Google Cloud Project, cloud testing and the cloud tool result, to be able to send the result to the Google bucket and to be able to connect with the Firebase Test Lab. These APIs, you should enable them and just to configure Flank to your needs with a Flank YAML file. This is the main idea. So with the same CI workflow, we just will download the Google Cloud service. This is the key to be able to use it or to log in with service account on our CI server. Again, run the API, the Android build for UI testing to get the 2 APKs. Then we have a Flank already step, or we can use a script step to generate a Flank config file, which is a YAML file, and then run the Flank command line. So we'll run on Firebase Test Lab, and then we can take the test report, and also it gives us the cost report as well. How many, or we are using different devices in this case, so at least we should know what the cost report or what the cost from these devices, and with the artifacts as well, sending it due to the CI server. So let's now back to our demo. So now the test successfully finished. So as we can see, it's taking almost 8 minutes to run our UI test. And actually the good point here about this step that you don't need to do anything about the test result, because this step automatically pull all the test result from Firebase and bring it to your test report. For example, you can click on the details and add-on, and the test report, you can open it, and here you can find that you have one tab for Firebase Test Lab. This is the device, and you can open, and here you can find all the test cases or the result with the performances that you can check it on the Firebase with a video. And if you already implemented the screenshot in your test case, you can find them here. You can find them here, and this is the artifacts look at from the devices and the log as well. So here you can find all the log is already bring it from Firebase Test Lab. So you can find what are the errors, warnings, and everything. So this is mainly the step for running a sequential. So now it's taking almost the build taking almost 9 minutes to build the APK and like run the test and pull the output and so on. So now how we can use Flank. So I have here another workflow. For example, I have one called barrel test. I download the GC Cloud. So here in the code signing, I already uploading the JSON file with the service account that I created with my Firebase account and Google Cloud account. So I uploaded it already as JSON file, but now I wanted to download it to my build, because that I have here a step for download the file from this environment variables, which is this is required, downloaded to the keys to be added in the keys folder inside my project, and then to configure the GC Cloud. So maybe I can make it more bigger. So here I just add this key to the application credential inside the GC Cloud folder. and then I authorize my active service account to the project that I added and adding the service key. This is actually, for example, here I have the environment variable, but in secrets, I have here the Google Cloud projects. I added also add the secrets and Google application credential and the service account key JSON. So just these two steps are important to be able to authorize my account and to be able to access Google Cloud and Firebase from Bitrise or from your CI server. This step is required for any CI server. And then just it. Now you are authorized. You logged in another way. You logged in already in your GC Cloud, and now you logged in. Now Firebase is waiting what you are trying to do with this one. It's the same step we are building for UI test, but now we wanted to generate the Flank file. So now I'm generating it on fly, but for sure you can have it in your project because it's a YAML file, and then you can like add just the path of the Flank YAML file to your application. So here, this is the same configuration we added in the screenshot that we had in the slides. GC Cloud, I already have one. So for example, if I go to let me just switch it to be English. Okay, if I go to the cloud storage inside my project, I already created one cloud storage. Browse. I have already one storage. It's called the UI test reports. And then inside this report, inside this bucket, I have already different folders related to different build numbers. So in each folder, for example, the last one, I can find here the APK, the SSE APK, and the matrix as well. And inside the matrix, I can find, I run already on 4 shards, which is started from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And inside each shard, I can find all the things that related to the run, the videos, the test result, test cases, logcat, instrumentation, everything. Maybe the question here, why I wanted to create this bucket? Because it was Flank and it was your account, the step will not pull the test result automatically from Firebase, because that we need to add one additional step to pull all the test cases or all the test results from this bucket to Bitrise or to your CI server to be able to to display it on the test report. But the step that we have in this workflow, in the normal workflow, the step that we have virtual device is automatically doing this for us, and then displaying the test report on the or the test result on the test report. But because we are using here a custom solution, we are now customize our run. We are using our own Google Cloud, our own Firebase account. We will run on parallel devices. So now the case is we should have a result bucket to save all the result inside this bucket. And then you should add additional step to pull all the result from this bucket to be able to display it on a Firebase or a test report that you are using on the workflow. So here inside this report, I'm using the build number environment variable to just to name it with the the build number. For example, 34 here, you can name it with the pull request name or the name of the trigger from this workflow. And this is also like record the video, timeout. Where is the APK? It's from the environment variable from the previous step. What is the test APK? And also I mentioned here the device, the number of shards, the number of test cases. Maybe I can add 6, for example, if I wanted to add more test cases, more devices. And now I'm mentioning that I wanted to run on package. So I just wanted to save. And then now I configure the YAML file, which command line I wanted to run. I just wanted to download or get the Flank jar file. This is the jar file. I want to just download it to my CI server. And then I wanted to run this command, java -jar or -jar. I wanted to run Firebase. It's the same command line that we did with Google Cloud CLI, because that I told you it's a rubber for Google Cloud or Firebase, Google Cloud test command, but it's using different techniques for parallelization. So Firebase test Android run, and then this command line will search about any Flank YAML file in the project. Once we created it, it will take it and start running it. And the last step, but before the last step, let me just try to trigger one build to check the result, and then we will continue with the rest of the steps. So now I will again select the branch, select the parallel test in this time, and start the build. So now I'm running the build and we'll build the APK, test the APK, create the Flank YAML file on fly. Why I'm creating on fly? Because this gives me the opportunity to change anything in the configuration and just save it. Because if you have it already saved on your project, you need to go to your code repository, change something in the configuration, create the BR. Maybe it's something for security or like for audit. This is mandatory because you need a reviewer to check what's changed in the Flank file. But for me, I found it's like more configurable if I create it on fly. So now we are installing, we are building the application. We downloaded already and configured the GC Cloud. So now we activated the account with credential with this project. And as I told you, the secrets are not exposed in the log. So you will find something like this because it's not displaying the project name or the key file or the credential as well. So we generate the Flank file we already created, and we run now Flank. So Flank now taking the arguments with the Android arcs, because as I told you, it's supporting as well the iOS application, GC Cloud, everything Flank, and now we are running with Smart Flank cache. So now Smart Flank, this is what I mentioned. Smart Flank is caching. So now it's checking what's in, it's like an XML file. It's checking what inside these test cases. If anything it changes in the test cases, okay, it will run it again. If not, it will start sharding or like reducing. Now we are saving one shard, okay, and we uploading now the shard, the APK, test APK. We are now running 18 test cases on 3 shards. As we mentioned, or sorry, as we can see here, I already configured it to run on 6 shards. But with Smart Flank, after detecting that there is no any change in the test cases, it gives me that you can run on 3 shards, which is well saving me credits as well, because now I'm running with my own Firebase account, which is will cost me more time, and especially if we are using physical devices, will give you or you will pay more for the devices. Now we are running on one matrix. We start running different metrics, and also it gives you the URL for this Firebase lab. But actually, if you click on this link, for example, here, it will not get go to Firebase, because here we already hide the project. But anyway, I have already the Firebase here. I opened it already, so I will go back to the test lab, and I will find that I'm running the matrix now. And I'm running it 3 test execution, which is 3 shards. And the devices, it's only one device because I configured this one, and it's a virtual device. So I need to wait till this test cases to be finished, or these shards to be finished. So now here you can find all the things that related to Flank. So now, for example, preparing the device. Shard 1 is starts running. Shard 2 starts running. So now it's bending. Now it's running. So it's give you always the status about your running. But until this one to be finished, just I will go to the workflow. And once we run the Flank, now we need to pull the results from the GC Cloud bucket to Bitrise, because that I add one script or one more additional step to use the GC utilities, which is a command line. So I created a directory on Bitrise to bring the result, or to copy the result from GC Cloud to a Bitrise machine. And now with GC utility, I copied all the the files from this build number. I run, or I bring the GUnit report, which is including all the test results. If, for example, if we go to the bucket, if I open this one, for example, let's go back, you will find that we have 36, which is our build number now. And if you go inside this one, till now, we have only the APK and test APK. We have the session ID, we have the Android chart. And if we, for example, refresh this folder, we are still running, so maybe the result will not be still here. So let's go back to another build, just to, I want to give you what's including this, this result. So inside the folder, you will find the GUnit report XML file, you will find the cost report, you will find the metrics result, and also inside the metrics, you will find all the details. But what I need just is the GUnit report. I need to copy it from this bucket to Bitrise to be able to display it in the test report add-on. And here, I'm just copying it with GCUtilit, which is a command line for copy this one and adding it in the test result. And then after that, I have another step to export the test result to be displayed in the test report add-on. So here I just name it Firebase UI Test Lab. Where is the test result path? This is a folder that I created and copied the file to this folder. What the test result search? I need to search about everything. So it will bring the like XML file. It's only XML file, so it will copy it and then paste it or like send it to the Bitrise test result directory, which will be displayed in the test report add-on at the end. So now we are still, so for example, tearing down Android test. Now, after finishing the test, the devices are now like closing, and also let me close this previous one. And if I go to the number 36, it's still, and yes, let me just refresh the view here. The only thing that you can see that what's happening now, but at the end you will find the video screenshot and everything in case you implement a screenshot as well. So this is mainly how you can use Flank, and this is how we can split or divide our UI tests. It's working with Espresso and that's only for Firebase Test Lab. I don't know if there is like another tool in the market with any other type of test frameworks, but this is actually, I tried it before in my previous company, and we're relying on this tool as well for like nightly build as well, and for running in every BR. So for example, now we run Flank, it's almost taking 6 minutes. As we remember, the previous one, it was like about 8 minutes. But here, if we open it again, we will find at the end, here is that. Now we are like uploading the metrics file, the virtual device, and this is the cost report. So this is what we cost or what we have as a cost from the virtual devices. Uploading the cost report to the storage because we already configured it. Upload the metrics result, and the metrics is 100 succeeded. We have the APK and we have 18 case or test cases passed. We are uploading the Smart Flank as well, and this is a total run is 6 minutes, and we collected the test result. So for example, here we copying from GC cloud bucket, and we copied one file, and also we send this file to the test result to be able to go to the add-on and select the test report and find the test result here, the same idea from the previous step. We just, because we used our custom solution and we run on barrel devices. So this is mainly, and also you will find, if we go back to the runs, you will find in total that.
I have one question. Can you compare the execution time, like where you run with the, like here you can see that there is a split up, like there is a split up for execution time also. Can we check like what is the difference between like the parallel one and the normal one?
Yes, what just I need to mention here that the parallelization is taking almost the whole build taking 7 minutes, and here it's 8 minutes, and with the credits as well is affecting. So parallelization help us to reduce at least the running time for the build itself, because here I'm using a credit based, which is.
Can we go inside this one? Yeah, can you go to the logs? So there is a specific execution time which actually gives like the exact time that taken. Yeah, this one, executing matrices, right? So the total run is 6.16 and the execution matrices is like 6 minutes.
Yes.
And And what is the difference like when we compare with the normal one, the primary, the workflow that you run?
It's a comparing between what's, so let me show you. So for example, here in the bucket already, you have here Android TA, which is, this is the smart, this is the XML YAML file. Sorry, this is the XML file that including the, it's now comparing between the previous run and the current run, between the test itself on charts. So this is the smart flank. So for example, here, I think this one, I don't know it will open or not. I think maybe we can download it. So for example, it's because to give you, this is a short one. I think it's comparing between, let me open or download this YAML, sorry, this XML file. So here you have, for example, you have a test suite, it's a XML file, and it's adding for the first run, for example, this one, the number of test cases, the time for each test case and everyone. So it starts comparing between each run and give you the div at the end. So for example, in the previous one, or what's stored already, this is, for example, it's taking 2 minutes, but the current one is like, it's taking a longer time, for example, for any reason, because at the end is cloud devices and you don't know what's happening on the device. So something like this, where the smart flank, they start like showing you the result between. So this is expected, for example, for shard one, it's expected 20 seconds, for example. And but it's this is, there is no diff, but for the shard number one, it's expecting this, and you have like 1 second difference, and this one as well, there is no difference. This is what you're asking, or you are asking about this number?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm just like seeing like what is the difference it makes when you run in parallel.
Yeah, this is only this is a time for, this is like actual shared time between the what is stored and what actually what we had in this one. And this is actually about the total runtime, because you have time also for spinning the device and installing the app and everything. But in total, the execution metrics is taking this time. But this is only for, this is like this is the numbers for Flank itself. So this is not this is something not for Firebase, but this is actually give you like all the things from Firebase. So for example, if you go to let me just, so all test finished now.
Yeah.
Include it. So now this is, you can find here each test case is taking a specific time. In total, they are like 6 minutes.
From the XML, yeah.
But the comparison is between the shards from the previous one and the current one as well. So this is the idea about Flank. So also let me just open. Just want to show you something. A device. Yeah, this is what I just wanted to, it's the same concept of what we did manually. So here we have 3 shards because we already configure it. And if we open, we have 18 test cases. So it's already like splitting them to 6 on this device, and each device has the same or the specific logs and the screenshot and the video. And also if we open the second shard, you will find also the previous one was 6 and this one 6 as well, because I think 3 on yeah, let me open the third one. So we have now 6 because they are almost 18 test cases. So, and then you can go to the video and you can check what was the performance as well, the logs, the test cases, and everything related to Firebase. Actually, one more thing about this this custom solution, we only like pull the test report or the JUnit report just to displaying the report. But what if in case I wanted to pull all the artifact? So for example, I wanted to have the video and the screenshot and logs and everything. So you should pull all the things from here, and it's easy now because we are using a GC utility to copy the file, or maybe you can like copy the directory to your CI server. And maybe we can, with custom configuration, you can displaying in the test report, you can have something related to, because for example, if we open this, you will find only the test cases, but there is no test artifact. This is what I am talking about. So no test artifact because we only like pull the JUnit file. Just we need to double check what are the test cases, what is the result. But with artifact, we can just go to this folder, and maybe we can pull all the things. Maybe we can have the report for the cost report if you wanted to display it, if you wanted to have the matrix, because inside the matrix you can have this chart, and inside the chart you can have everything, the artifacts, instrumentation test. This is our SD card. For example, if we open Android data, if we are saving something here, you can find it in the artifact, or if we like wanted to like copy the logcat test cases, the video as well, so you can display it. Maybe also if you wanted to don't use the test report add-on, let's say if you are using Bitrise or you have different things, you can just pull the test result or test artifacts. You can maybe generate the Allo report if you have already the test cases, and then maybe you can displaying the Allo report if you wanted to use third-party tool as a test result or test report, and then send the link to your team to check what are the test results. So at the end, this is the main idea about how we can split UI test using Firebase and Flank. So
yeah, I think Hussein has some questions.
Yes, yeah, I'm just waiting for the wrap up. Then we have some hands raised. Yeah,
right. There are some resources will help you to understand the Flank and fundamental of testing in Android and JUnit, Firebase. And for example, if you click on Flank, this is the documentation, and here you will find that how you can integrate it with a bit CI server like Bitrise or Sequia CI. There is already a Gradle plugin, and also if you want to, maybe you can run it on Windows, how you can authenticate it with a service account. This is what I'm using. Also here you can find the example for iOS and Android. So we are mainly used today Android, but here you can find iOS is the same concept, but with the iOS, you should have you should passing that with a test. You should like zip the folder for the test cases and send it, and also you should have the XC test run file path to send it, something like this, XC test run. This is only the change, but otherwise you are specifying the device, the local, the version of the OS, and the directory to pull from the device, and also for the maximum number of shards. And this is for Flank as well. So as we mentioned, Flank is parallelization for Android and iOS, and it's only for Firebase Test Lab. So this is mainly what we had today, and for sure now it's time for questions.
Thanks, Murtaz. This is really deep dive like presentation. I was not aware at first. Let me stop.